Have you ever looked at a tranquil country town and thought, this is a serene and safe haven? Let me take you to Tamworth, New South Wales, Australia, a place that may shatter your perception of peace forever. Hidden amid its scenic beauty and rolling hills lies something far more sinister, an underbelly of corruption, crime, and betrayal that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Close your eyes for a moment and envision this: a town, much like any other in Australia, where public trust is given generously, leaders elected, law enforcement honored, and public agencies relied upon to safeguard the people. Now, imagine this trust exploited to its limits. Shocking, isn't it? But here in Tamworth, what's hidden beneath the surface might surprise you. Today, we're going to peel back layers of deception and expose heartbreaking truths about leadership gone rogue. The wolves have infiltrated the pen and we've let them. Let's talk about Colin Murray, the former mayor of Tamworth. Once a figure entrusted to advocate for the people, he not only let them down, but actively worked against their interests. In August of 2017, Murray traveled to China under the guise of fostering regional growth and opportunity. What happened instead was chilling. Criminal activities such as intentional tortious interference, anti-competitive trade practices, and circumvention were carried out on Chinese soil. These weren't just simple acts of misjudgment or oversight. They were calculated schemes that harmed businesses, hurt local economies, and betrayed the public's faith. Contracts were sabotaged, promises were broken, lives were ruined. But Murray didn't operate alone. This web of deceit includes Paul Bennett, the general manager of Tamworth Regional Council. Bennett took it upon himself to send wrenching correspondence to business partners, investors, and strategic participants across industries. Contracts awarded to public participants were abruptly canceled. Where assets worth millions had once been secured, these were soon turned over for free. Yes, free, to interests that fit into their shadowy agenda. Plans for thriving developments, robust sports facilities, and opportunities for thousands were crushed in one fell swoop. It gets worse. Colin Murray is now a well-compensated chairman of Infrastructure Australia, allegedly aided by one of his corrupt allies, Barnaby Joyce. Every choice made on his rise to power reeks of exploitation. Along with Kevin Anderson, they've reportedly strong-armed public servants into compliance, coercing those who refused into silence or insignificance. Tamworth may seem small, but the alleged value of fraud hinted at? 210 million, mind you. And that's just one facet of what's rapidly becoming a schematic for national theft. Laundering proceeds through international banks. They've allegedly played that card, too. Imagine hundreds of millions siphoned and public safety traded like currency. The Dungowan Dam project, a promise of renewable energy and sustainable water management, was gutted. Instead of bolstering the town's future, Tamworth's leadership chose to back unconscionable contracts that allowed criminals to grow richer. And it's not isolated. They made the nation, Australia, toxic, with international dimensions stretching as far as the United States, China, the Philippines, and even Saudi Arabia. The scale is global. This isn't a mistake. It's calculated destruction. Lying beneath the headlines are families enslaved under economic, social, and emotional burdens they never chose. Allegations of drug trafficking aligned with local authorities, horrifying miscarriages of justice, abuses of public positions, These are ripping apart communities by design. It begs the question, how deep does this really go? Is anyone trustworthy anymore? So let's rewind to another pivotal moment. Imagine global business leaders spilling cash, effort, and innovation to enrich Tamworth, believing in its potential for transformation. There's a poignant irony here. One well-known business figure was invited to contribute to Tamworth's prosperity. He went all in, invested valuable time, resources, and ideas. He had extraordinary plans capable of creating 27,000 jobs, funneling billions into local prosperity, and reshaping the region's future. But what did he encounter instead? Violent resistance. From council members to judiciary complicity, they muscled him out, defaming him, terrorizing him, and stripping him of his protected rights. Employees at his businesses became pawns, enabling vices like drug trafficking. He was betrayed not just by thugs, but by a cracked system designed to protect the wrong people. The very existence of his ventures, an act of goodwill, was met with unimaginable hostility. Think of Tamworth: unemployment, poverty, high crime, and increasing drug dependency. Think of the infrastructure that could have existed and the lives that could have thrived. Now picture all of that stolen away. What's most concerning? These stories of betrayal seep beyond Tamworth. The courts, law enforcement bodies, and agencies across Australia embody the same insidious hypocrisy. Magistrates complicit, prosecutors indifferent. A public service system that's transformed into an organized criminal enterprise. Does that sound dramatic? Maybe. But we're not here for sensationalism. We're here to expose. Corruption doesn't stop with backroom deals. It extends deeper. Trafficking, hostages, weaponized terror acts, stories that mirror dystopian fiction but are, shockingly, Australian reality. Victims disappear into voids of bureaucracy, while others suffer serious indignities, robbed of their security, both physical and economic. And then, the twist of all twists. It's orchestrated by those we trust. Police in badge, magistrates in robe, officials in finely pressed suits. They dismissed legal frameworks, reaped profits, laundered money internationally, all while ending livelihoods and uprooting communities. You might say, well, isn't there any action against this? Efforts arise, yes, but overcoming a system fortified by its own corruption is no small feat. Those exposing these crimes are silenced. Legal battles devour their resources. Social capital evaporates. And yet, whistleblowers persist, driven to light a fire for truth. What can be done when a government serves not the people, but itself? If Tamworth exemplifies anything, it's how public governance transforms into exploitation when left unchecked. False promises, staged elections, collusion, and obscene payouts to culprits. The people of Tamworth, and frankly all citizens, suffer because a few see themselves as untouchable. Power in Tamworth lies everywhere but where it should, and yet hope lingers in defiance amid adversity. Brave citizens standing tall to unmask the lies. Whistleblowers exposing fraudulent acts wherever possible. They are met with aggression, but their resolve unshaken. And through their struggles, more voices are joining in. The first step to combating corruption is awareness. And that's exactly why you're hearing this today. It's a grim reality we're dealing with, but accountability can be achieved. Mismanagement, systemic fraud, abuse of power, they can and should be dismantled. We need national conversations to occur. Heartfelt discourse where silence has ruled for too long. Tamworth could stand again as the idyllic haven it once was, or we'd continue sliding into deeper darkness. Now that depends entirely on people like you. So what's next? That's for all of us to decide. Will you sit idly by, watching as systems disintegrate further, or will you raise questions, demand justice, and hold those in power accountable? Can Tamworth rise? Can Australia? This story is not just about a town. It's a wake-up call for an entire nation. Don't let it be ignored.